Build Your Business listeners. This is Matt Reynolds, your host for the podcast, and you are listening to what we are calling the legacy episodes. And really, these are the pre-episodes that really led to this podcast, the Build Your Business podcast. This is really my life's work and my brother's life's work in building your business. And so they were originally published in the Barbell Logic podcast as part of the Principles or Coaching Success series, but really touch on similar topics to the Build Your Business podcast: how to improve your productivity, how to set and accomplish your goals, deprioritize urgent tasks, to focus on what is most important to you, and most importantly, to become a better person and leader and business owner overall. I'm proud to bring you these podcasts. Again, many years of life's work, several years of podcasts, and several decades of business ownership. Hope you enjoy them and learn from them. You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to the Barbell Logic podcast. This is another episode of the Coaching Success series. I'm your host, Matt Reynolds. I'm here with a very special guest, Matt Fever, who is a coach at Barbell Logic Online Coaching, as well as, oddly enough, my own personal online coaching client, which is how I got you in. And so welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
You will notice right away that Matt doesn't sound like I do because he is from across the pond. He's in Norwich, England, which I remember having to take a train from London to Norwich. So you're kind of out there on the east coast of England. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep. East Anglia.
And a beautiful little, I don't know, something between a town and a city. It's too small to be a city and maybe too big to be a town. I do remember that you have a cathedral there that's like, I don't know, 1,000 years old or 800 years old, older than anything that's in the United States, which is really cool. It's been there for many, many hundreds of years, which we don't have here in the United States. And so came out and visited you and Chrissy and Steven, and we've got 3 coaches, oddly enough, in this town-ish city of Norwich, England. And so, yeah, I just want to tell the story about how we met and how you got involved, where your coaching was. And so let's kind of start there, because I think you're an excellent success story of the process of moving from in-person coaching to online coaching or some hybrid version thereof. You're doing both. When I came a few years ago with Rachel, we came out and did a camp in Norwich, which you were an attendee of. Tell me a little bit about what you remember about the camp, and then what did your coaching practice look like at that time? Like, what were you doing? Were you primarily working a kind of what we would call a big box gym, kind of a big, just, professional box gym, training clients? So what do you remember from those days?
Yes. So I started coaching back in 2001, initially as a martial arts instructor. That led into some group fitness and personal training in a commercial gym. And that's really where I was when you came to Norwich for the lifting camp. The lifting camp was really a major turning point with what I was doing, because I'd gotten to a point where I was fully booked most weeks, and the business model of just coaching more clients just wasn't simply going to work anymore. So I really liked the idea of getting involved with online coaching. We started working together shortly after the camp.
So, by the way, I remember. So first off, you're married, you have littles. How many kiddos do you have?
I have 2 boys.
And they're how old now?
Coming up for 10 and 8.
So this is a few years ago. So obviously this is 3-4 years ago. So they were younger even then. So this idea of coaching full-time, 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 45 hours a week to increase your payout, you were just going to have to coach 50 hours a week, 55 hours a week, and 60 hours a week. And I think you recognize that wasn't really tenable. I can remember we went to Stephen Gilby, again, shout out to him. He took us to this great little brewery, this like local beer pub that had food and beer. And you and I sat and talked. You had done so well at the lifting camp that I had you coach a little bit at the lifting camp, kind of watched your eye. You and I kind of talked a little bit together at the lifting camp. It's like, man, this guy's actually a really good coach. I would like to have him at Barbell Logic. And so I remember you asking me at the brewery, should I start the path to be an online coach, or should I see what it feels like to be an online client first? And I remember saying, like, I'm not trying to sell you on this, but I think you need to be an online client for a little bit. And then so that you understand how it's different from the in-person coaching model. And I think I promised you at the time, if you decide to sign up, no pressure, I'll coach you. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, I do. Originally, it was going to be for 3 months, and
Yeah.
we're still working together. So,
yeah, 3 years later, here we are.
But yeah, that was, like I said, it was a real turning point with everything that I was doing. Shortly after that, I signed up to the Academy, which was another great move. I'd completed numerous certifications here in the UK, but nothing was as comprehensive, as practical, and as useful as the Academy course that you guys have put together. So that was a prerequisite to become a coach with Barbell Logic. But that was one of the first steps in really enhancing my coaching practice.
Yeah, I think I hope we don't skim over the value of the Academy, because of the value of the content that the Academy team that CJ and Becca and the team have put together is just outstanding. It's most of us have had some level of exercise science sort of degrees or college experience, or like me, who didn't take the courses, but actually ended up teaching that in college 10 years ago. We started to recognize that, at least in the United States, and I would assume it's similar in the UK, that you would go and take these high-level educational collegiate or university courses, and they really didn't teach you how to coach. They taught things like VO2 max or reading an EKG or very high-level physiological sort of things without any of the in-the-trenches work. And I think knowing the high-level physiological things are important. I think understanding kinesiology and biomechanics and anatomy, all of those things are obviously something that sets us apart as professional coaches from your average 18, 19-year-old trainer. But there isn't anything in the United States for us in the trenches of, I never had to teach somebody how to squat or how to deadlift or do the basic barbell lifts or even programming, even at the novice level, let alone at the post-novice level. Did you find the same thing in your previous studies and certifications? Is that the value that you really found with the Academy, or where was that value for you in the Academy?
Yeah, so I would say it was really in the level of detail that you guys have put together with the course. Practical teaching progressions are very valuable. I was already coaching barbell training at that point. This was just the next step in the coaching step.
Yeah, I think that's the way CJ's mind works. He still works at this kind of 30,000 foot view of the major lessons that need to be taught. But if we don't ever get down into the details and the nitty gritty and the trenches or the tactical work, then it's just all theoretical, which again, I think in the US is kind of where it leaves you, and you don't really get in the trenches. And they sort of expect you to often be an assistant strength and conditioning coach at a Division I school or at college, or if you're lucky, maybe you get into the pros. But that's where you sort of get your clinical practice. And one of the things that's really important that CJ has done in the Academy is he gives people the permission, not that they really need permission from us, but I think they often need to hear it, that it's okay to start coaching right now. That by taking this Academy course early on, even from the 101 course, when you complete the 101 course, which is the very foundational level course, which is not even really for professional coaches, it's a great prerequisite for professional coaches, but it's primarily for barbell enthusiasts, you will know more than 99% of all personal trainers certainly in our country. And I would assume it's kind of similar for you. And so then as you progress through the rest of it and you go through principles and then advanced, you're really set up to know what you need to know, practice what you need to practice. You've put those things into practice. You've actually coached and modeled. And then by the time you take the PBC test to earn your personal barbell coach certification, you have to take a 3-tiered test, which is a written test, which is pretty difficult. I know because I made everybody take it at Barbell Logic, including myself. I had to pass it. I remember, and I've told this story on the podcast before, like when I took it, I'm a good test taker and I'm a fast test taker. And it took me like 5 hours to take it. And I came back to the team. I said, this test is outstanding, but we got to cut it down a little bit. It's so long. And so we cut it a little bit, but not very much. And the level of what the coach has to know is way up there. But it's also one of those things. I've also taken certifications. I won't call any of them out, but I've named it and I've had it, that the test is often multiple choice. And often the multiple choice, those questions are directly related to specific figures in the textbook? So like, on textbook page 67, second row, third column, what is that actually referring to? Well, like, that's not a real question. We wanted people that if they had all the knowledge they needed to know to pass the PBC, they didn't actually have to take the academy to pass the PBC. It's not like you had to have special knowledge or a textbook that, okay, I've got to refer to page 119 and do this thing. They were just very practical, detailed questions about how you would coach a specific demographic, how you would program them, what maybe the flaws were in their technique. You do that written, you walk through that from an oral examination interview, which also makes sure that you're a cultural fit for Barbell Logic and who we are proud of to give our PBC certification to. And then you have to provide a practical, whether that's in person, practical with a coach grading you in real time, or whether that's setting up a camera and doing that in person real time, or if that's online coaching and actually giving feedback and showing the lifts and then giving feedback there. So which one for your practical, did you video you coaching someone in person and live, or did you do an online coaching like where they submitted a video and you broke down the video like we do for TKC?
So I submitted a video of me coaching the 4 main lifts.
In person with a real human?
Yes.
And you just turned on record, no cuts, and then
Yes.
uploaded that video. Yeah, which I love that. So the nice thing about that is Norwich, as you might imagine, getting to London is tough enough from the United States. And then getting from London to Norwich is a train, and which takes a couple hours, if I remember correctly. And then, so you were able to do this and submit that video and get graded on that, and then became a PBC. And then what was the process then like becoming a Barbell Logic online coaching coach? And how has your coaching progressed, not just from a coaching professionalism standpoint or expertise standpoint, but how has it changed the business model that you currently run now today?
So it's giving me lots of different options. The in-person, it's been working great for a number of years, but the online coaching allows me to be more flexible, both for the flexibility for the client, also offers flexibility for me as a coach. So a great example of that is one of my best clients used to, be coached by me 4 times per week. He sold his business and he said to me, Matt, I still want to do this, but I don't want to be fixed to a time. So can you tell me a little bit more about this online coaching that you offer? So he was one of the first in-person clients that transitioned to Barbell Logic as an online client, and really got the ball rolling in terms of a number of my in-person clients, started to see, actually, maybe I don't need Matt here all of the time. Maybe he can just be there in the background offering feedback via video submission, programming. And it's worked really well for my in-person business. It's allowed me to give people that next step in terms of, if I'm fully booked, how can they work with me? We offer the online coaching. People in different gyms that don't necessarily want to train in my facility, they can do it in their own schedule, in their own gym.
Yeah, I love that. So you don't have a non-compete currently with your current gym. How did your current gym handle, or have they handled or had to deal with you moving some of these clients off of in-person coaching to an online coaching model? Do you just pay like a flat rate fee to be able to be a trainer in the gym, or how does that work in the business side?
They pay a separate membership. So I pay to rent the facility and the members pay to access the club.
And it doesn't matter how many clients you have, the payment to rent the facility is the same.
It's the
price?
same.
Yeah.
Same price. Yeah.
So they don't care.
Works well for them because I'm retaining their membership.
Correct. So you've got all these clients several years ago, they're all in person, right? And
Yep.
now you've got this businessman who's sold his business. He wants some freedom. That's one of the big value propositions that we offer at Turnkey Coach, is that you have the freedom to online coach you anywhere you want, anytime you want. The client, even more importantly, anytime they want, anywhere they want, with the equipment they have. Sounds like most of your clients, in-person clients, have stayed with the gym that you currently coach out of, so they have a membership to that gym. But I would assume like this businessman and other clients that you've transitioned over, they don't always just train in that gym because they want to travel. The type of client who can get coaching or pay for coaching often either travels for business, travels for pleasure, or both. And so what kind of impact have you seen there with those clients who have moved from fully in person to fully online or mostly online from that freedom standpoint. So again, take this guy, take this. I know this is a real person. We won't say his name, but as he sold the business, I would assume that he ramped up his travel. You do this all the time too, right? So I'm coaching you. I'm jealous. And I think those of us in the United States are jealous. Like you'd be like, hey, I'm going to Greece for the next 5 days. I'm like, that's a massive trip for us to go to Greece, right? It's like going to Greece for you guys is like us going to Texas. It's just, that's the thing about Europe. And so how have you seen that impact the consistency, really the performance for your clients going from fully in person to fully online or some hybrid model thereof, so that they gain that freedom to train anywhere they want, anytime they want with the equipment they have? And the same thing for you, where you have that same freedom then to break down those videos or provide feedback or programming on your own schedule.
Yeah, so my family, we took 4 trips last year, and I was able to continue coaching these guys on all 4 trips, whereas usually I just don't get paid because,
right.
So that was the first benefit. But for them, it allows them the flexibility to come and go as they please. They can do it on their own time. I also have a number of people that use my service. They don't necessarily train with me, for every single session that they complete throughout the week. So some of them will maybe come in, they might check in once, twice per week. So what it allows me to do is to set them homework. So we work together within the hour, and then I might set the rest of the program for them to come into the gym in their own time and complete the program. TKC has been a massive game changer for that because it allows me to set the homework, they complete it in their own time, and I'll get notified if they miss the workout. I get notified if they complete the workout. So that hybrid model of having them maybe work with me, check in once, twice per week, they might still have 1 or 2 more sessions to complete if they're doing a 3 or 4 day split. They can still do that independently, but I still have some involvement in that with the software that we use. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. The accountability that Turnkey Coach brings for the client and the oversight for the coach is a tremendous value. And I think when we first developed the software, that wasn't really on our radar, this hybrid model. And so I think one of the things that I go and speak in another month or so at the Underground Strength Conference with Zach Evanesh and Joe DeSena and a bunch of those guys out in New Jersey is trying to convince them. Most of these guys are in the position that you were several years ago, where they're working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week in the gym, and they can't get away, and they're sort of in bondage to the schedule and the location. And to convince them, a lot of these guys don't want to give up their gyms. But you don't own the gym that you train out of, you rent the space. A lot of these coaches own the gym. And so the concept of selling the gym or getting completely out of the in-person business is terrifying to them. And we say, like, hey, you don't have to stop that. You can keep owning the gym. If you want, move to a 24-hour key card type access for your clients. Keep office hours or coaching hours or both for your clients so that you can still coach them in this hybrid model, but then move them onto Turnkey Coach so they still get their programming on Turnkey Coach, whether they're receiving that in person or online and doing it on their own time, and whether that's out of the gym that you own as a coach, or whether that's out of a different gym, or whether that's out of a hotel gym or a resort gym or a business travel gym, whatever the thing is, you can still do that and maintain that same amount of accountability. And the thing that I found when I train clients all the time at Strong Gym, and really the reason that I started this business, was that I couldn't get away. And then the other problem was that I found the same issue that you did, which is the type of clients who could pay multiple hundreds of dollars per month for personal training or strength coaching from me in person. When they went on trips, they didn't train. And now when they go on trips, they do train, right? And again, it doesn't mean that it's, you sometimes you go to a hotel gym, it's got dumbbells up to 50 pounds, or for you guys, 24 kilos or whatever it is. And so it's not perfect training, but what we found is that, one, it keeps the habit of quote unquote training that a lot of coaches would call exercise. And I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, calling it exercise. But what it typically does is it stops the detraining effect, so that when they go on the business trip, or when they go on vacation, or just like you did when you went to Greece, like you did the same thing, and you just had basically like a hotel type gym that was dumbbells and the bench and the basic stuff, you were able to keep the habit of the exercise or of the training, so that when you came back from the vacation, you hadn't detrained. I think that's really the major value of this online coaching piece. So that leads me to the next question, which is this. Have you put the vast majority of your in-person clients on Turnkey Coach yet, so that when the day comes, when they say, hey, I need to go on a trip, you say, hey, I can just program you through Turnkey Coach. you can go on the trip and I can watch what you do. I can give you video feedback. Have you made that transition yet with your in-person clients who will then potentially travel, or certainly at some point travel in the future, whether through business or travel or pleasure?
Yes, I have majority of my clients on Turnkey. That was something that we started to do last year, and it's worked great for the reasons that you just outlined. It's also a great intro into what we do with Barbell Logic online coaching. It's the same software. Occasionally, I'll have them upload videos, maybe give them occasional feedback on that if they're traveling. So they're starting to get a sense as to what online coaching is all about, and it's a great transition into that later down the line.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the podcast, is because we noticed that you've transitioned a lot of your clients over the past several months from in-person to online. And so I thought, okay, I want to know what are the secrets here? And this is really like the secret sauce of how you've been able to do that. And is it really just over time putting your in-person clients on Turnkey Coach and getting them used to getting their programming on an app so that you have the upsell opportunity or the potential shift sale opportunity when they go on a trip, when they go on travel, when you go on travel and you can still coach in Greece or whatever, then you've got an opportunity to go like, see, online coaching is pretty cool. And oh, by the way, it's cheaper than in-person coaching, and there's freedom for both. I mean, how have you leveraged that strategy and those tactics to move a bunch of these clients from in-person to online or a hybrid model?
So I've really been using a 3-step process. The first step is to offer them a short course of personal training, really enough to establish, good form, outline the program, build a connection with them, get them confident in the gym with what we're doing. Once I've done that, the next step is to really have them use TKC, get familiar with the software, show them all the cool features that the app has to offer. And normally by this point, they're starting to make some great progress in the gym. We've changed the whole experience of training because now they have a program, they have good form, the professionalism that it brings to me as a coach in terms of, I'm doing all the programming, they receive it on the app, they can update that, they can feed back to me.
The automated metrics, which I think is fantastic. The thing that I know that I missed forever when I was coaching in person was my clients I knew would hit PRs, but I didn't know what the PRs were. Like if it was a major PR, like a squat, a deadlift, bench press, or press, of course I would know it. A 1-rep max, a 3-rep max, a 5-rep max. But I didn't know when they hit a chin-up PR or a barbell curl PR or whatever the thing is. And so even for the in-person client, when they receive their programming on TKC and they hit those PRs, it not only lets them know, and there's a little dopamine hit, right? We know both you and I are clients on TKC as well as coaches, but it also lets you know. So you talk about the professionalism. Now you get to congratulate your clients on their chin-up PR or on their curl PR or on their dip PR or what, the kind of thing that you probably wouldn't know if you were just writing this in a notebook, which is what most people have done for many years. And so it makes sense that transition then becomes like, oh, there's like a lot of value to this. And I think this is where the value of Turnkey Coach comes in, even for the in-person coach, setting them up for the future hybrid model, and then also then to open up their roster to online coaching for people that are far outside of Norwich, England, or wherever they are. You've been able to do that. So can you speak to that some and kind of how that's opened up from in-person to hybrid to online as advantages for both you and the client?
Yeah, so I used to get a number of inquiries from people all over, and they would say, look, I'd really like to work with you, but I don't necessarily want to come along to your gym. With online coaching, it doesn't have to be a hard no. There's another option. You can continue to work out from the comfort of your own gym. We can do it remotely online. That's worked tremendously well. And even for some of my clients that have been with me for a long time, it gets to a point where it's like they still need a coach in the background. They still need the support. They like what we offer and bring as coaches, but again, just need that flexibility to do it on their own schedule.
And I assume you've seen the same thing from the coaching perspective. When you need to travel, like you said, you took 4 trips, you're still able to coach. I assume for most of the trips that you took, and we have something that we offer for Turnkey coaching companies who have multiple coaches all under one company, which is a small percentage of those coaches. But for us, we've got, 60 coaches or something. If I need to go on vacation or I legit need to be out of office or on a plane where I can't do online coaching, I can get coverage for when I'm gone? Have you either leveraged the coverage and seen value there, or B, the other end of the spectrum is I didn't leverage coverage because I was just able to keep coaching regardless of where I was, and my clients didn't really even know I wasn't in England? Those are the two kind of ends of the spectrum that I've noticed in my own clients.
Yeah, for the most part, I'll always try and keep it going myself if I can. We go somewhere where there's, good internet connection. I'm able to continue to work with clients. But last year we went to Lapland. We took the kids to Lapland in Finland.
Yeah.
And I was confident that the internet wasn't going to be so good there. So I did use the coverage option there. And again, the clients were able to continue to be coached. I think they quite enjoyed having another pair of eyes on their lifts and, getting feedback from a different coach. Often it reinforces the work that we've been doing together because,
they say the same thing you did.
Exactly.
That's the point. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, I think the setup is perfect.
Awesome. Perfect. So what is next for you in a perfect world over the next, say, year or 2 years? What does coaching look like for Matt Fever as you move forward, both in this kind of combination of in-person, online, and hybrid model? What would you like your coaching to look like a year or two from now?
So I'm starting to really trim down the in-person. I used to work 6 days. I would work Saturdays as well. I'm no longer working Saturday mornings. So I now get to go to my son's football matches, get more dates with my wife at the weekend.
Wait a minute. That's soccer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
just making sure. You guys say the wrong, but that's okay. Okay. Your soccer/football matches. Okay. Got it. Okay. Right.
So I'm just around more for the kids, which is great.
Yeah, which is
I don't want
great.
to miss a minute with them. I want to be involved in their lives. And this is really giving me the flexibility to do that,
I love it. So the goal is to continue to slowly decrease the number of in-person clients you have and increase the number of online and hybrid model clients you have. So at your peak of in-person coaching, how many hours a week were you actually in the gym? Not just coaching, because we know there are times where you get an hour off, you take a lunch break, but you have to kind of stay there because you've got this 1 hour off, but you got another client showing up. How many hours a week were you at the gym at your peak in person?
So I was probably doing around 40 hours a week. And then on top of that, you've got, the rearranging and rescheduling of appointments, the admin that comes along with the sheer volume of work.
And now how many hours? You cut that back 25% or so? You're in the gym 30 hours a week, something like that?
Yeah, probably 25 to 30.
Yeah, so awesome.
And I can coach way more people online than I can in an hour in the gym.
Of course. With the goal then to move to 15 to 20 hours a week eventually in the gym and still be able to replace that income with online or hybrid model clients. That's a pretty sweet gig, man. I think that's one of the things that we sometimes forget about. And it's not this, I'm not looking for a pat on the back or a thank you because I get to live the same life. It's like, this is crazy that we get to do this, make the same money we always have, if not more money, but way more dollars per hour than we made in the in-person model with all the freedom and flexibility to do it when we want. So, again, as I've gotten older and I'm becoming more of a boomer, I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. As much as I want to, there's really nobody to coach in person at 3 o'clock in the morning because the rest of the world's sleeping. But I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, make my coffee, and I do all my breakdowns. There are many, many days that my entire stream is completely cleared out by 4 or 4:30 in the morning. I have no more online coaching to do, and it's 4:30. Well, that's before, I never took anybody before. 5 a.m. was the earliest I would ever take a client back when I was strong. And so now I'm often done coaching by the time I would take my first client back in the strong gym days. And that's the way I like to do it. Now, for others, they like to do it in the opposite direction. They might do it at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night after they put the kids to bed. That's fine too. It doesn't matter. The point there is where you don't want to be at 3 in the morning is a gym. And where you don't want to be at 10 o'clock at night is in a gym. And when you have those off hours, if you're still working in the gym some in the hybrid model, and you have your lunch break or you've got an hour off between clients, you can sit down and open up your laptop and you can do online coaching. You can break those down as well. Instead of coaching one client in that hour, you coach 20 clients in that hour, which is pretty freaking cool, both for you and for the client. It's a pretty great value.
Absolutely. Yes.
I love it. Awesome, man. I love your story. And I love your story because it's not the exception to the rule. It's the norm. It's the thing that we've seen. Honestly, I wish I could say you surprised me. But after meeting you in England, and I was like, okay, this guy's got a lot of potential. Let me coach him for 3 months, like we said. And after 3 months, during that time, he'll start taking the academy. He'll become certified as a coach. And within 3 to 6 months, he'll be coaching for us and we'll go there. And you were able to do that and continue the coaching with me. And by the way, just let's take a second. Like, I realize you're going to talk in kilos because that's what you guys do. So you're not very big from a frame standpoint. Like, how much do you weigh?
I'm currently in about 94 kilos.
Okay. So that's what, 210 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. Does that seem about right? So 100 is 220. So maybe 205, somewhere in that ballpark. And what's your best squat?
235 kilos.
I mean, that's so over 500 pounds. Deadlift is what?
240 kilos.
Okay. So same thing. And you're built to squat. You're one of these guys. You're relatively short. You've got a long torso, relatively short legs. So your deadlift is always going to just barely outpace your squat because you're kind of built to squat. Bench and press are pretty strong as well.
Yeah. Bench is about 145 kilos. Press is 90, maybe just over 90 kilos.
Love it. How old are you?
I'm 41.
Yeah. So, I mean, so this is what a great story. You got to, I hate to tell you this, but you're middle-aged, man. You're a middle-aged guy, married with kids, right? Living a normal life, coaching.
Well, those PRs were set in my 40s. I must add.
Yeah, that's in the last year or two. And you're in a position, and you had a little bit of a back tweak a couple weeks ago, but you were setting yourself up to hit new PRs at 41, 42. Once we get through the little back tweak. And so, yeah, you walk the walk and talk the talk and are able to do this. And over time, hopefully you've seen the value in your own life. Hopefully your family sees this, your wife and your kids see this. Dad's home on Saturdays to go to the soccer game, as we call it, football, as you call it, and do those things and hang out with the kids. I mean, Saturdays are a big day, right? To not be at the gym. And so to be able to continue to cut back from 40 hours a week to 25 to 30 to eventually 20, while making the same total amount of money on far less hours work, then that is the goal. And for someone younger, imagine if you knew what you knew now and you were 23, 25, you didn't have kids yet, you could also just ramp up your work hours and you could make like 200 grand a year doing this thing because there's the potential to just be like, hey, rather than trade the work for family time, I can trade the inefficient work for efficient work time, make way more money per hour, which everybody's able to do, and just continue to work the same number of hours and make a ton more money. And so I love it because, again, you're not the exception to the rule. You're the norm. We have tons of coaches that have this type of story. And I think we've just seen a lot of movement for you over the last several months and moving really fairly aggressively from really in-person to online and combination of online and hybrid model. And so, man, I really appreciate you telling your story on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Matt. And thank you for the opportunities that you guys have given to us coaches.
Of course. And that's because of the great team that I have. I will say that I can't wait to be able to come out and see you again. That trip to Scotland and England is, to this day, Rachel and I counted as the greatest trip we ever took. It was a 2-week trip where we did a full week in Scotland and a full week in England. And I drove on the wrong side of the road with a stick shift, manual, where I'm driving on the right side of the car with a stick shift in my left hand, which is weird, on the left side of the road, which is everything's backwards. And Rachel would not drive at all. She was terrified the entire time. Now, when I was in London, I would not drive. I just Ubered everywhere because I don't know what there is. There's probably 100,000 bicyclists in London. I was like, I'm going to hit somebody on a bicycle, and so, but it was a blast coming out there and seeing you guys. You got a beautiful place to live. And I love that in this, what feels like it's not the same thing as where I live in the Ozarks, which kind of feels like hillbilly and rural. That's not what Norwich is. Norwich is just this like beautiful countryside town/city in England. It's awesome that somebody can have a really successful coaching business out there where it's not that easy to probably get a ton of in-person clients. And then as you've been able to build your coaching credentials and fill up your schedule, you're now able to take those clients and start to transition them over to online, which I think is fantastic. And then have the freedom to do that both for you and for them, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's been a great journey and just continues to get better.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing the show, brothers. Anything you want to promote? And by the way, you're welcome to promote your own coaching. We can put your URL link in the show notes. If people want to get coaching from you, reach out to you. What would you tell them? What do you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm available. I have spaces. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook. Look for Matt Fever Strength Coach, and you'll see a lot of the work I do there, showcase a number of my clients, their lifts and their progress as well as my own. So yeah, check it out.
He's a great coach. He's also a great lifter. He has essentially 100% consistency. The guy never misses a workout. If he does, it's because he's legitimately horrifically sick or injured or something. And other than that, I mean, his consistency is as good as it gets across the board. He's been a great client, a great coach for us. If you need great coaching, and again, you can be anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in England. You can be in Singapore. You can be in the United States. And you can get Matt as a coach as well as any other coaches at Barbell Logic. And so, man, thank you for coming on and telling your story, the value of online coaching, the value of the academy, the value of Turnkey Coach. If you're a coach out there and you're looking for, like, there has to be a better way and you want to start going down that path, the academy is a great starting process. You can start by taking Coaching 101, which if you're a coach, you can probably breeze through Coaching 101. And then Turnkey.coach is a phenomenal place to get started programming your clients and starting to move them towards the online coaching model. Your first month is always 100% free. There's never any contracts. It's the same thing for Barbell Logic. If you become a client at Barbell Logic, we just don't. It's not that I don't believe in contracts. It's that it's my job or our job to keep you. Whether that's us trying to keep you as a coach for Turnkey.coach, it's us trying to keep you as a client at Barbell Logic. You don't ever have a contract. So you can literally test the thing out. Turnkey.coach for 30 days as a coach, and it's your first month is 100% free. You only get charged for the clients that you utilize. We don't put you on a tier system like your first 20 clients is this much. If you have 3 clients on your roster, you pay for 3 clients. That's it. And so it's a pretty sweet gig that's very low risk, high reward. And so there's the sales pitch at the end. Hopefully that wasn't too nauseating for anyone. And thanks for doing the show, brother. And excited to rehab through the little mini back injury and get you back rolling. Your squats and deadlifts looked awesome yesterday. Excited to push towards PRs for later this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, sir. That's been another episode of the Barbell Logic Podcast, Coaching Success Series. If this podcast has brought you value, we would love a 5-star review. Tell a friend, tell a family member. Those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast are super helpful for us. They help us in the algorithm. Obviously, telling friend, family member, personal trainer, someone who's in the fitness industry that's in your family or friend group, send them to Turnkey.coach. Again, for us, we put out a ton of free content. We want people to actually consume the content first for free and then build some trust with the company before they actually have to pull the trigger. So it's not that they go to the website and have a big sales pitch there. It's like, hey, check out the YouTube, check out the podcast, check out the Turnkey.coach. And we've got a complete, basically a learning how to do the online coaching business on Turnkey.coach. It's a completely free class, a course, basically like an academy course. You don't have to put in an email address or anything to get access to that. And you can just watch those videos and learn that process and start to make the paradigm shift of getting out of the, I don't have to work 40 hours a week in the gym and can actually coach people online at a much better dollar rate per hour and have some freedom in my life. And I don't have to be in bondage to the schedule and the location. So thanks again for listening, everybody. Thanks again, Matt, for being on the show. And we'll see you guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend this weekend. Happy Friday to everybody. And we'll see you guys next weekend.